Hey everyone, it's Laura here and I want to show you how easy it is to create this stunning Z fold design. So what I'm going to show you today is how to actually create the components to create the Z fold, but for the decoration part, I'm going to leave that up to you. The brilliant thing about this is it lays flat, goes into an envelope. So I love these cards and envelopes from Close to My Heart in the value pack. There is 50 cards and 50 envelopes, and the cards are pre-scored, so all you have to do is fold them in half. So each card has got the scoring at the center, and all you need to do is, like I said, fold it in half and you've got a card to work with. But I love being able to take these cards and make them a little bit extra special. So this Z fold card is exactly what I'm talking about. You take the standard card, you add a little bit of an extra element, and bang, it's just so much more special. So if you don't have these, then the actual size of this card stock is 8.5 by 5.5, and you score it at 4.25 to make a standard card. Then what we're going to do is we're actually going to give it an extra score line. So using whatever kind of scoring tool you have, and I'm just using my original Close to My Heart scoreboard. Unfortunately, they don't sell this anymore. And I'm going to score it. And you don't want to score it on the outside of the card. You actually want to fold that card in half first, and you want to score on the inside, and you're going to score at 2 1/8. So this is exactly half of that front panel. And the reason why we score it on the inside of the card is because once you've done a score mark, you always want to fold over the mountain, over that score mark. Okay, so I'm just going to bend it over and give it a really crisp, clean score line. Okay, so as you can see, this now creates a Z. So that's our Z fold. Then I'm going to create, add on these panels. So I've got 2 in this particular color scheme, which is 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. So there's 2 of those, 5 1/4 by 1 7/8. And this one is 5 1/4 by 4. And so it just leaves a lovely little tiny white border. So I'm just going to stick these on here with my Tombow. And the particular paper that I'm using in this project is the beautiful Hope and Kindness for National Scrapbooking Day for Close to My Heart throughout all of May. So it's absolutely beautiful paper, and it's, in fact, I used the Hope and Kindness on my original sample as well. It's just such a pretty pack, and I love being able to actually combine a couple of different designer prints together that work just brilliantly together. So that's what I've done here. I've used the Hope and Kindness paper. So as you can see, I'm just sticking them in between the score lines, and it's just leaving a little white border all the way around. Okay, and it's also, I just love that we get to see so much of our decorative paper through this particular design. It's super fun. All right, once those components are on, the next thing that we're going to need to do is create the other part of the Z fold that sticks on top of that. So for this, you need a piece of cardstock. You can see this particular cardstock is actually got a bit of decorative to it. And the cardstock here is 7 1/8 by 3.5. 7 1/8 by 3.5. Then I'm going to score it at 3.5. That creates our square, 3.5. And the other score line is at 5 5/8. And I realized I meant to have actually turned it over and score on the opposite side, 5 5/8. So that's it, 2 score lines, 3.5 and 5 5/8. So I'm just bending it over the mountain for the first one. And then when I open that up, I'm going to flip it upside down, backwards and again over the mountain. So that's our 2 score lines, and that's all we need to do. That is the most complex part of it. And what I'm just doing now is just rubbing over my cut edges to flatten the cardstock all the way around, because you sort of see both sides of it. Okay, so this needs to be stuck inside of the card. And the easiest way to do it is you're actually going to line up both score lines in the very center of the card. So at our 3.5 score line and our 4 1/4, which is on the card, we're going to line those up. Okay, so that's what you have to remember. And if they line up, then it should close perfectly. And it should also lie flat when you open it so that you can write on the writing component. So what I'm doing now is just placing my Tombow adhesive only on the half of that piece of cardstock that's going to get stuck onto that very first front panel. Do not get, caught up with putting tape on that whole piece, just on that half. Then I'm lining up my 2 score lines and making sure it's central to the top and bottom of the card and pressing down upon that. And so as you can see, it's only stuck onto that first little half panel, okay, and it closes up brilliantly. So then the next sticky is on this back side. So this is the back side now of that Z that we created, and this is what's going to get stuck to that inside panel of the card. So I'm just placing my Tombow adhesive on that. And then if I pull all that and close it in together like so, I can actually fold the card over and attach it this way. So now I know it's definitely laying flat, and when it opens, it still lays flat. That is how easy it is. It's not complicated at all. So the last thing to do this on this card for the basics is 3 white panels. They don't actually have to be white, you can make them whatever, but I would suggest this center panel that you do make that white, because that's where you're going to leave your message. So the first white piece is 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. The next piece here is 3 3/8 by 2. And this one is 3 3/8 by 1 3/8. And it's just beautiful. So those panels all get stuck on to the cardstock. So I'm just sticking on the very center one, because this is the one that we would leave them, put the message on. And the other 2 is where we would decorate our card. So I just want to show you on my original one, those particular pieces I actually ran through a brand spanking new die cut. It's so cool. It's called Decorative Texture Background. It's a little fiddly to poke out all those little white holes, or whichever color you're using, but look at it. It's just so cool. So that's what I did on that particular one. But of course, you could stamp random images on the background. You could do all sorts of things. So for now, for this sample, I'm just going to stick them on white. It's totally cool, and I'll decorate it with something, maybe some beautiful flowers or something else. But at least I've got this card ready to decorate. How easy is this? I haven't sped up any of the process. Even though I've missed out the cutting, I haven't sped up the process, and it's taken a total of 7 minutes. So there you go. That there then will just slip straight into an envelope because it folds flat. It's still a little bit fancy because it's got, the pop-out feature of the Z fold. And as you can see, it's an absolutely stunning card. All right, bye now.